Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And today I'm going to be talking about Mexico's favourite clown Andrew and Amira. And Andrew is still on a one-man mission to avoid all worldwide COVID restrictions. Pandemic schmandemic, who cares? Never mind that we have the worst pandemic in living memory and hundreds and thousands losing their lives. Andrew wants a fit girlfriend, and that apparently supersedes global travel restrictions. And guys, as ridiculous as this relationship is, I cannot help but laugh every time I see Andrew relaxing on the beach in Mexico. He's simply unbelievable. And Andrew's still in Mexico because he tells us he needs a long rest. Really? 50 years to life in Alcatraz would be about right, and yes, I do know it's not a prison any longer. And I realise it's now a tourist attraction. Don't worry, he'll fit right in. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing to my channel. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell. And to all my regular subscribers, thank you so much for all the support and thank you so much for all of the comments. And I can't wait to see what you all say about Andrew. Sharpen your barbed comments and put them below. So without further ado, I give you Andrew and Amira. So last week we saw Amira and she was almost home, she was in Amsterdam, but today she arrived back on French soil and she tells us, "I'm back in France, but that was not the plan. Andrew is still in the resort." And very quickly we flick over to Andrew. And Andrew's sitting leisurely at a beachside restaurant eating a dessert. And Andrew's eating with 2 spoons, no, not so that he can shovel it in even faster, but one's for Amira. Andrew, Amira's not in Mexico, you damn fool. She's back in France. You got her imprisoned, terrorised and then deported. So she won't be popping down to the beach for dessert. There are no need for 2 spoons. And Andrew, this lacklustre performative sorrow isn't working. We're not buying it. We know you to be a selfish fool. And we go back to Amira in France and she's meeting up with her dad. And he asks the questions that Andrew never really bothered to ask. Why did they return you back to France? And Amira said, "I don't know what happened. When I got there, they took my passport, they took my phone, and I knew straight away I wasn't going to be let in. And they also took my watch, so I never knew what time it was." It was time, Amira, to ditch Andrew. But then her dad said, "Well, I told you not to go." And then Amira continued, "When they finally let me go, and the plane was just about to get into Amsterdam, the air hostess came along and gave me a bag full of papers and my passport. And when I looked at the paperwork, it said, no passport." And guys, I showed you this last week. Quite a few people were saying, that's not the real paperwork because it's not true there's no passport. But guys, I genuinely do think that that was the right paperwork. But of course, there was no tick box for COVID infected person. And so I think they just ticked whatever they wanted and sent her on her way. And Amira tells producers, "Andrew didn't even bother to look for me whilst I was in my Mexican hellhole. And he hasn't even been in touch with me since I returned." Oh, Amira, don't worry, fear not. Andrew's got you half a dessert on the beach. I'm sorry guys to laugh, but he really is a clown. And I think half the reason that he hasn't bothered to contact Amira, aside from the fact that he's not really bothered about what happened to her, is that his phone probably doesn't have local service. And even though she was in a Mexican jail, he didn't even bother to put local service on. And I think he's only got service when he's in his hotel room, which it seems is very little of the time because he's having the time of his life. And Amira's dad said, "I love you, but I can't lie to you. I've always had a bad feeling about Andrew." And Amira said, "Well, maybe if you could meet him, you'd like him a bit better." Amira, no, he wouldn't. If he met him, he'd just see that he was a dishevelled, insincere mess. And I don't think any of those things are likely to help. And next time we see this couple, we go to Andrew. And he tells the camera, "I really wish Amira was here, but now that she's safe, the least I can do is exercise a little self-care and make the best of the situation." A little self-care? Well, I suppose it has been hard work worrying about your detainee fiancé. He decided to stay and indulge in the vacation. And then we see him having a massage, and we see him later on in a lovely restaurant having a massive steak. And he's looking over all the different steaks saying, "Oh my God, all that marble and all that deliciousness." He really is in another world. Even if he was deciding to stay, he would at least, when the camera's on, pretend he's not having that great a time. He's virtually working for the Mexican Tourist Board with these little videos. And so finally he decides to amble back to his room and he calls Amira. And he said, "Hey there, how have you been?" Literally, guys, as happy as Larry. "Well, I've been travelling. I have had 5 planes in 4 days." But Andrew ignores this and he says, I went to an amazing steakhouse for dinner last night. And Amira snapped, why didn't you just come home? And Andrew said, well, I'm trying to make the most of it. But Amira, everything's empty without you. But nevertheless, tomorrow I'm going on a walking tour, and then the following day I'm going on a boat ride. I've already had a massage and I've been for a beautiful steak. I'm loving the beach life and I might try a bit of snorkeling. I'm going to sample everything Mexico has to offer. Guys, oh my god guys, he's not even trying to dial it down. It's like he's telling her how good Mexico is, knowing that she will never be there again in her life. Because let's all sit down and think about this. If you've had the experience that you've had, and you know that possibly your name's on a system in Mexico somewhere saying that you were detained and then deported, would you ever go again? I know for a fact if I was deported from somewhere, I would never even try to get back in. So he's selling a beautiful holiday to her, which she'll never ever, as long as she may live, experience. Andrew, have you literally got crap for brains? But then Andrew turns again to one of his main worries, and he says, well, if we don't get an extension to the visa, and that got me thinking, if we don't get an extension, Andrew, have you even tried to get an extension to this visa? Do you even know what your legal situation is? Because I would believe if you had, say, 6 months on a visa and on the day that the visa was given, the lockdown happened, I would imagine that the American government would just extend that visa. Maybe you'd have to pay a little bit more, but I don't think you'd have to pay from scratch all again. But I think Andrew is such a tightwad that he doesn't even want to consider the fact that he might be able to get an extension, because if he can't, he's going to have to find that money all again, which is more than he can bear. And he continues, we may have to do this all again in another country. And by we, he means you, just you, Amira, not me. And Amira actually says to him, it will be me doing it and not you. And she says, I am absolutely speechless. It's far too early for him to even consider this. And Andrew said, baby, it's not even on my mind. Guys, I can't believe it. This guy is just brimming with bullshit. Andrew, yes, it is on your mind. You've just said it. And Amira backs this up. She said, you have just said it, so it is on your mind, baby. And she tells production, the more Andrew's pushing me, the more I wonder to myself, does he want to do what's best for me? No, he doesn't, Amira. He wants to do what's best for him. He wants to do what's most expedient for him financially. That's what Andrew wants to do. And can anyone imagine the look on Andrew's face when Amira is wandering around Sephora and buying lipsticks for $30? He's going to literally have a heart attack, which incidentally, he doesn't seem to be too far from anyway. But I digress. Next time we see Amira, she's back in France. And she's ruminating on her situation, and she says she's supposed to be in Mexico and then she's supposed to be moving to the US to get married. And she's also upset because she's barely spoken to Andrew, and she said he must be very busy at the resort enjoying his vacation. And then she decides to call him. Again, Andrew says, hey baby, when he picks up the phone. Why so happy, Andrew? Why so happy? And he said, I'm loving this, I'm just enjoying a few rays and I'm getting my vitamin D. And I suppose Amira should just be grateful that she's not getting Andrew's D. And Andrew said, how are you? And Amira said, I can't sleep at night. And Andrew said, oh dear. Do you think it might be the residual stress from what happened in Mexico? No, Andrew. It's because she can't find I'm really not a waitress colour in OPI. Of course it's bloody because of Mexico. And then just when I thought Andrew could sink no lower, he has a little chat to production and he says, I know Amira's been through an incredibly tragic situation. However, we still need to find another country so that we don't lose the visa. God, his selfishness knows no bounds. And Andrew lets us know he's got yet another harebrained scheme. And he said to Amira, well, we've got two choices. The first choice is we can wait and see what happens with the visa and to see if we can get an extension. Yeah, just stop there. That should be your choice. And then he said, but the second option is perhaps Serbia. We can try again with Serbia. I understand we can get in via there. And he said this plan is a very similar situation to the Mexican plan. So a ship plan then. A ship plan conceived by an idiot. Is that what you mean? And I think we can all agree the only place worse than a Mexican jail to be incarcerated in is a bloody Serbian jail. It's just like a Mexican jail, but in the freezing bloody cold. And then he said, but unfortunately, baby, I'm not going to be able to go with you because of my fortnight holidaying in Mexico. I have to go back to work. So unfortunately, you'll be all alone for 2 weeks in bloody Serbia. Oh my God. But I think we can all agree Andrew is one of the most selfish people ever to have been on 90 Day Fiancé. And I say that in the full knowledge that the average person on 90 Day Fiancé is far more selfish than the average person in humanity from what I see. He's absolutely terrible. And next time we see Amira, she's meeting with her friend Xavier. And Xavier gives me kind of Sanford Blatch with a beard vibes. And she wastes no time in telling him that Andrew's still at the resort, enjoying all that Mexico has to offer. And then she grasses Andrew up even further when she said he knew that I was incarcerated, but he decided to stay at the hotel. Now, as you guys know, the Ebird's never been to Mexico, and I gotta tell you, I'm low-key scared of it. Just because I have a very good friend that had an awful experience, not unlike Amira's actually, an awful experience there. But I thought, how easy would it have been for Andrew to go from where he was in Puerto Vallarta to Mexico City? And I ascertained within about 15 minutes of searching that it would be about $30 or $40 each way in a taxi. Andrew, what stopped you from going? Even if you couldn't get in to see her, you might have been able to get a message to her, or at least when she gets home she'd at least know, well, he was there, he hung around for a few days trying to get hold of me. He's literally a joke. And she tells Xavi that now Andrew wants her to go to Serbia all by herself. That's his new plan. And Xavier said, no matter what happens, do not go. The same could happen again. It's really dumb. This relationship is completely rubbish. And Andrew doesn't care about you at all. And we finish this week with Amira talking to production, and she tells us the number of family and friends who still like Andrew at this point is close to 0. And I would like you to show me, Amira, that member of family or that friend who still likes him, and I'll call them to their face a goddamn liar. So guys, what does the Ebird make of this? Well, what I make of this is that she doesn't know Andrew. She's met Andrew a few times in America, and I think when she's met him, he's put on this confident, know-it-all, I'm really good at finding things out and putting plans together, I own my own business, I've booked this hotel, and I'm showering you with gifts. But I think it's all a massive facade. I think that Andrew's a massive slob. I also think he's fairly unintelligent. Let's not forget, this plan has already failed, yet he wants to do exactly the same plan again. He's also not bright enough to play down his 2-week vacation in Mexico. He's letting us, the viewer, and Amira know, I'm having a great time. Oh, how are you, Amira? Are you okay? He's not even intelligent enough to keep that under wraps. And he also quite famously lacked intelligence when he didn't even try and speak Spanish to people. He didn't even go back to the airport to try and find out, where's my fiancé? He just kept ringing the same number and saying, hello, my fiancé has been detained and I'm wondering where she is. I'm wondering why doing the same thing again got the phone slammed down on him again and again. He didn't have the intelligence to go down to Maria at front desk and try and get her to help out. And I'll never forget the time when he said, I don't have friends because I run my own business and I don't have any time for friends. And he's so unintelligent, he thinks we buy that. Now, I don't know the reason why he hasn't got friends, but I do know that that ain't it. The Ebird ran 4 businesses simultaneously. For 15 years, I had 30 to 40 members of staff, and I still found time for all of my friends. So not only is it not true, you're an idiot for thinking you can even offer that as a narrative. And let's get on to his next personality trait. He's massively selfish. So not only is he not taking in what's happened to Amira and how much it's affected her, he's purposefully, I think, not asking her any questions about it, because I think he doesn't really want to know, because he knows very well you caused this, you created this, and you did nothing to help her in her hour of need. You were the closest person to her and you were no help whatsoever. And because he knows that, he thinks, best thing is, let's not talk about it. When she calls me, I'll say, hey, how's it going? And try and keep it all light and airy. And if, and only if, she says, I'm not feeling well, then he says, oh gosh, do you think it's anything to do with the Mexican bloody jail? Yes, it is, Andrew. Yes, it is. Of course it is. But he wants to downplay it because he wants her to go elsewhere and do the same dastardly plan again. And another reason he's selfish is because he didn't even say, right, I've got it this time. Serbia is a fail-safe. I've called ahead. I've checked everything out. You can definitely get from there to America. He hasn't done any of that checking. He's saying, well, I've kind of heard it might be Serbia. You don't sound very sure, Andrew. So you're sending her on a 14-day trip to hell on a whim. Like, who would do such a thing? And it's fair to say that Andrew has quite considerable intellectual disabilities, but one of the main things he has is an astonishing level of arrogance. He really talked himself up, but there was no reason for him to do so because you've been left failing on every single task thus far. So guys, let me know what you think. Is Andrew unintelligent? Is Andrew selfish? Or as I think, is he both? And obviously I think that Amira should wash her hands of him now because it's not the fact that his plan didn't work, it's the fact that he doesn't seem to care and is trying to wash his hands of responsibility. It's possible that her dad might blame me. Possible? Definite, Andrew, definite. Everybody blames you. It's actually your fault. So guys, let me know down below what you think and I will be back very soon with another video. If you haven't done so yet, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and make Ebird a very happy Ebird. And I'll see you soon with another video. You've been listening to Ebird Online. I bid you good day.